My name is Temitope Ajayi. I'm a Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Publicity.
My name is Ogra, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Digital Communications and New Media.
Okay, pretty much 1 year of the administration, I would say the government has done well in terms of stabilizing the polity and also stabilizing the economy.
I totally agree.
Considering where we are coming from, there are a lot of fiscal headwinds that has really stunted the growth and the capacity of the state, of the country to be able to even meet its basic obligations. And I think the president took a right decision by tackling those fiscal issues headlong from day one. And there has been this argument whether he should have announced or said
the
subsidy was gone or he gone from day one.
Yes, I totally agree.
Truth of the matter is, the subsidy issue has been with us for over 40 years, from the 70s. And every government has struggled with it, even the military government. Oh, there will be minimal adjustment, or there will be pushback by labor, by students, by civil society, protest, government will buckle. But we kept piling up debt after debt to the point that the states almost become comatose. So instead of kicking the can down the road every time, President Tinubu took a bold decision. Of course, such decision will always come with some inconveniences here and there and unintended consequences, yes, which is a bit of a rise in cost of living
and inflation
and the rest. But again, through the application of appropriate tool of fiscal and monetary policy, we can see that inflation is also decelerating. And by the last number released by MBS, it actually dropped by about 3%. It used to be from 40% to about 38 or 37% now. So I think before the end of the year, people will begin to feel the positive impact of some of these decisions.
So I think for me, it's instructive to note, and I'll use the Bulgaria example.
Yeah.
In the early 90s, I believe, Bulgaria went through a similar situation.
Yeah.
You know, they were part of the Eastern European bloc,
yeah,
and then they tried to move into the Western bloc after the breakup of the USSR. And I know back then, you used to have a lot of Bulgarian businesses in Nigeria, and a lot of them actually left Nigeria to go back to their country once that happened. A lot of businesses were state-owned, even the ones that were here and everything, and then they did a privatization exercise, removed subsidies on food, all forms of subsidies, food, electricity, fuel, and all those things. And I think for the first 4 months, they had a riot, and then the government buckled, reinstated some of those subsidies. But guess what? When those subsidies came back, the entire country, you know, after a couple of years, I think 6 years or so, was facing bankruptcy as a result of those subsidies. And then a new government came in, a new democratically elected government came in, and they reinstated, you know, the removal of all subsidies, and were very, very prudent and disciplined in managing their policies to, you know, mitigate the impact. Yes, people felt pain, but today Bulgaria is one of the success stories from the Eastern European bloc, now currently in Europe. Recently, they were added to the Schengen area, you know, of the European Union. And I'm beginning to say something similar in Nigeria. I mean, the president has said it, President Bola Tinubu has said it many times, that he knows this is not easy on Nigerians. I remember when Buhari wanted to remove the subsidies, President Muhammad Buhari wanted to remove the subsidies in, I think that was 2021. And labor unions stood up to say, no, they couldn't remove it. The same way the labor unions, you know, blocked the sales of the refineries back then, without looking at the big picture. And 6 months after, the Buhari administration said in November that by 2023, middle of 2023, they would stop the subsidies. Then they went and applied for the World Bank, you know, loans and everything to help with the conditional cash transfers and all that. And I remember when President Tinubu got into power, middle of last year after announcing the subsidy removal, which by law was always bound to happen because it was not budgeted for, beyond that moment. And initially, when they wanted to do the conditional cash transfers, which was part of the things to cushion this, a lot of Nigerians shouted.
People asking what we 8,000, 10,000 for families. Yeah.
And the government had to draw it back and revisit the social register to see that let everyone get a part of this and let them make sure that it's actually getting to those people that they need. But you see, that time lag also between when that was supposed to kick in and things should have happened affected the most underserved in society. Because they also inflation beat them harder than those of the middle class and the higher class because they had little income, to cushion whatever it is. And I see people complain that 5,000, 8,000 is not okay. But when you go to the woman selling kose or akara on the streets
or boli,
that is more than enough working capital, for them to run their daily businesses and give them sufficient to take care of their immediate families. You see many stories, you hear of many stories from people who have benefited from these nano grants, seeing how it has changed their fortunes. They're able to, work less, have time for the children to go to school, reduce the impact of, having to work with little to no capital on their businesses. So yes, I agree with you. The subsidies had to go, but Nigerians also need to, understand why these decisions are made. It's not every time, it's easy to be moved by what's the most popular persons or those with the loudest mics are saying. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand the impact or why this thing is being done, then, we just keep recirculating the same problems over and over again.
I also think there is a global dimension that is being ignored in all of this conversation.
True.
Of course, like you said, people with the loudest mic, they have a way of making everybody feel
and
that.
bad news sells.
Anybody, okay, America is in the news cycle now in America is about their election. Mm-hmm. A major talking point in the ongoing American election cycle is inflation.
Yes.
So their own inflation may not be as high as ours, but globally, virtually all the major economies around the world is dealing with inflation.
Especially since the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which disrupted global chains.
From COVID,
yes, that's
the global supply chain has not fully recovered. Then, while we are still dealing with post-COVID recovery, the Russia-Ukraine happened 2.5 years ago. So,
and more than 40% of our grains in Africa comes from that region.
The cost of living crisis is not a Nigerian problem. And I think it's important our people know that it is not that every part of the world, citizens of other countries around us and those around the world are enjoying while we are the only one suffering. No. The issue is there are certain decisions that need to be taken today.
Yes.
For a better tomorrow. Otherwise, the president, it was a tough decision that he had to take. He had to balance, should we do what is right now?
For the future of our children and the country.
Or we should just paper over it like any other person and do a kind of cosmetic surgery or what I would call a window dressing to make everything look beautiful, when in reality,
to some people, they say that would have been the wise political decision. Subsidy has been a poison chalice for Nigeria. You touch it, then, it's almost as if, your government is anti-people.
Yeah.
But I think what the president has tried to do with his deft handling of the economy, yes, initially things looked rough and chaotic. But if you're looking at the results now, looking at how revenues have grown, looking at how foreign direct investments, FPIs and everything have increased to levels not seen before in this country, despite what we claim as economic challenges, then I think we should give credit where credit is due. This is an accountant who understands numbers, who is very meticulous in his planning. I mean, yet the same thing happened in Lagos. People had the same sort of complaints.
At the early part of his administration.
But over time, and because he's someone who believes in systems, frameworks, and processes, those things have lasted even beyond his administration in Lagos. And I think we're seeing...
And to even give credence to the reform that the president, especially both on the fiscal and the monetary, if you look at the recent economic indicators have shown that the housekeeping that he has done in the last 1 year are beginning to show visible and concrete results. Like you said, revenue has gone up. By half year this year, we have almost made as much money as we made the whole of 2023. Before the president came on board, we were spending like 97 naira out of every 100 naira we made as a country on servicing debt. Today, that has declined to like 67%, and it will keep improving. Maybe by this time next year, it will have further declined to like 50%. And what that means, in real sense, is government now has more money to spend on social service.
True.
More money to spend on the people.
True.
Security, food security, infrastructure, and those things that will make life beautiful and meaningful for people. I always tell my friends, why do we all want to dapper, especially our much younger people? Why do we want to go to Canada? Why do we want to go to America? Why do we want to go to Dubai? Why do we want to go to Singapore? Oftentimes, it's not because good people are going there to go and park money on the street. It's because of the quality of life, because of better infrastructure.
True.
So we now have a government that is saying, let's begin to invest in those things, and it's easy to focus on the mundane, immediate needs. Food, good food is good. Of course, we have to eat to stay alive.
This is very important.
We have to eat to stay alive. But what I always tell people is, the best money government can spend in terms of public finance is money that catalyzes the economy.
True.
That catalyzes growth.
True.
And it is capital expenditure that can make that happen.
Very true.
Investing in road, in rail, in port, in fiber optics, in electricity, in water, in irrigation dam, in pipelines. Nigerians just need to show more understanding. We continue to support this government. The president is a president that cares about the people. He loves the people. He will never do anything to make life difficult for his people. And no leader, at least no sane leader, or father, we want to see his children suffer.